If there's one thing that every guy with a beard needs to do, it's make sure it's cleaned and lined up. It really doesn't matter if you've got scruff or a full-fledged long beard. You need to make sure that thing's in check. Because if it's not, you run the risk of making your face look soft, and that's not what we're going for. We're going for a structured and strong jawline. And shaping your beard is a great way to do that. So today I'm going to teach you guys how to shape your beard to make sure you have a prominent jawline. I'm also going to walk you through my routine to make sure that everything is nice, tight, and trim. So let's get started with the tools. So for tools, you need a couple different things. You're going to need a trimmer, something to go over and get rid of all of those extra little hairs that are stuck after you go over everything, and then a finishing product. And a bonus item is something to line everything up. You can use a book, you can use anything flat. I just grabbed one of these off Amazon. It's a beard liner. It's like $5, but if you want this one exactly, I'll link it in the description. So step one is going to be identifying your lines. You have 3 to look at. So you have your baseline, which is going to be your neck, you have your top line, which is going to be your cheeks, and then you have your lip line, which is obviously going to be your lip. Let's start with the baseline. This is the line that's going to match the shape of your jaw, so I really think that this is the most important one to get right. You bring it up too high, all of a sudden you've got a chin strap. You keep it down too low, you're going to have a very soft looking jawline, which is not what we're going for. The tried and true method to make sure that you get this line right is take your finger, put it above your Adam's apple, right where that tops out, that's where you want your line to be. Another way to do it is simply tuck your chin back like you're trying to give yourself a double chin. Don't go all the way back, but just enough where you kind of get that little bunch. Where that bunch is, that's where you're going to start. So same exact placement. If I put my finger there, you can see that it is going to be right there. And if I put my chin back right there, same spot. A lot of times when I see guys go at this, they go at this straight angle and they end up coming up way up here. You know, like I said before, that's gonna cause kind of like that chin strap look. And when you turn your head to the side, all of this skin pulls up anyway. So if you turn your head, all of that you just shaved is gonna come up here. It's not a good look, and it just softens the jawline so much. It's one thing that so many guys get wrong, and it's such an easy fix. We're gonna start by simply punching a line in. You're gonna look to the side. I always start a little bit lower because you can always work your way up. You can't work your way back down once it's already gone. So start a little bit lower, and you're simply gonna punch a line straight down into the top of your Adam's apple. As you can see, we punched our line. Now we have a nice place to work with so we can follow that as a guide. One of the things my barber taught me is your neck hair tends to grow upwards, and so you don't want to drag it down. If you're gonna do that, you're gonna end up pulling, you're gonna end up nicking, and that leads to ingrown hairs, and that also leads to irritation. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn this guy upside down, and we're gonna go up towards the jawline just to get some of these hairs. All these hairs aren't gonna come off onto the first pass. That's why we have the other tools to go over afterwards to make sure everything gets nice and crisp. Now you're just gonna do the same thing on the other side. Punch your line, follow it up, and then make sure it's all clean. As you can see, everything is symmetrical. If I'm being honest with you, I'm actually impressed that I was able to do that and still do it on camera. I think that deserves a like, so go ahead and click that like button. Now we're gonna move on to our top lines or our cheek lines. And you have a couple different options in this depending on your face shape. So you can either go with a light curve or you can go with a straight angle. If you have more of a round and full face shape, I suggest going with more of a straight line because it's gonna give you more of that straight edge look that's gonna really define that jawline. And if you have more of a long and slender face, try to go with more of a curved line. That's gonna kind of dampen it a little bit, but it's gonna enhance that jawline as well. But it really does come down to personal preference. I've seen guys with thicker face shapes that have that rounded off beard. I've also seen guys with longer face shapes that have a straight cut, and they both look great. So you have to play around and kind of see what you like. I tend to go for more of a straight line, maybe a slight curve. My issue is I do have a birthmark on this side, so whenever I go a little bit too low, it kind of throws off the symmetry of the beard line. So I always tend to go a little bit straighter, and that's just how my beard looks the best I've found. In order to find your starting point, you always want to start with the center of your ear. So if you go from the center of your ear straight to the side of your lip, that's where you want your line to live. Maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower. Like I said, it really comes down to personal preference, but a basic rule of thumb is ear to side of mouth. This is where you grab your liner tool or your book or whatever you have, and you simply just line it up straight from there. So if that's my lip, that's the top. So my line should be right there if I'm going a straight angle. If I'm going more of a rounded angle, this actually has a rounded edge to it. Line it up straight on the side of my lip, all the way up to the top of my ear, which is where it's going to land. So these are cool just because you have that little guide, but if you don't have one of these and you just have a straight edge, honestly, just a straight edge is gonna work. But if you only have a straight edge and you're trying to get more of that arc look, it's completely fine. All you're going to do is simply pull up a little bit on the cheek and you're gonna shave that straight line. What this is gonna do is it's gonna pull the skin. So once you have that straight line gone, when you let go of the skin, you're gonna have this natural little arc in it. So same as the neck, we're gonna punch in our line and then we're gonna shave upward. As you can see, our line is now punched in. Just like below, we're gonna turn the beard hedger upside down and we're gonna go up, Now take your brush and brush everything down. As you can see, nice and straight line, slightly curved right to the base of my ear. So if I drew a straight line, it's gonna go straight to the side of my lip, which is exactly what I'm going for. And just like on the neck, we're just gonna do the same thing to the other side. All right, as you can see, we're lined up on both sides now exactly how we wanted to look. Slight curve, pretty straight, and symmetrical. At the end of the day, that's what we're going for. Like I said, I do have this birthmark right here that kind of throws off the symmetry just a tad, but I always keep that in mind just to know that that's there, so when I go over later on and I fade it, I can actually kind of work with it a little bit and make sure it actually lines up. Another way you can find this line if you don't have a tool or you don't have a book is simply suck in your cheeks. So if I suck in my cheeks right now, you're gonna see the bottom of my cheekbone. It always comes to the bottom of where I want that line. So if I do it again, it's nice and lined up. That's just another little trick. It doesn't always work for everybody, but I've found that it's pretty accurate compared to most things that you can try. If you don't have one of these tools, I always say line it up first if you can with these, but if you have nothing and like first comes to worst, that's the easiest way to do it. Suck in your cheeks and you're gonna find that line. And then just make sure that you pencil it and you punch that line in to make sure that it's straight. All right, now for your lip line. I feel like this is such an easy area to miss and a lot of guys just don't even think about it, but you are gonna have some of these hairs that tend to creep over the top of your lip. You simply wanna knock those guys down. Do not go straight across. What you're gonna do is follow your lip line. So at an angle, you're simply going to punch, pull down, punch, pull down. It should only be one fluent motion. You're gonna take your brush everything down to make sure it's all going in the same angle. And like I said, punch, pull down, one motion. And there you go. Nice and lined up, really quick, really effective, but it's gonna make everything look just so much more crisp. Instead of just having hair that's coming over the top of your lip, it's just a lot cleaner of a look. And that's just the basic framework of the shaping. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and we're gonna clean everything up. I tend to use the Handyman, which is a foil razor, just because I like more of an electric shaver over a traditional razor. I find that using an electric shaver, I get less ingrown hairs. So if that's a problem for you, try an electric razor. It tends to work a lot better, especially for those guys who have kind of like that coarse, kind of crisper hair. It's definitely gonna help take all that hair down and not have those ingrown hairs. But if you do like a traditional razor, I have used the crop shaver and I love this little guy just because it's easy, it's compact, I can throw it in my bag, I can take it everywhere with me and make sure everything's clean every single morning. So I don't have to go in with these kind of things every single week, I just use this to maintain every single day. So if you're looking for more of a small compact razor that you can use on your entire body, the crop shaver is amazing. I'm not particularly fond of safety razors, but if you're a safety razor kind of guy and you want a really good durable one, Manscaped also makes one for you as well. So now you have all of your lines. You don't want to come all the way down to those lines, you just want to make sure that all the hair is away from them. Then we're gonna go in slowly just to make sure that that line is nice and crisp, but don't push up into that line because you don't want to ruin the line. Now the neckline is completely cleaned up and we're gonna go up and do the same thing to the cheeks. And one thing I love about the Handyman is it does have two different sides to it. It has the foil razor, but it also has this little clipper blade. Because we all do have those little micro fuzzies all over our face, and you can just go over with this little clipper blade and it takes all of those off. So I always go a little higher and make sure that all those fuzzies are gone. Now that everything's basically lined up, nice and clean, this is where I tend to go in with some kind of razor blade just to finish everything off and make sure it is nice and crisp. You can go in with the crop shaver. If you like a safety razor, go in with that. But I'm more of a fan of going in with a straight razor just because it gives me a little bit more of that crisp line. It's definitely a skill to use one of these that you have to get used to, so I would not recommend it if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, you can definitely go with one of these little eyebrow trimmers, which it's like basically the same thing. It's just got a little bit more of a guard on it to protect your skin. So if you're new, try one of these. If you're not new and you can use one of the straight razors, by all means. I just get a little bit of gel and some water. All right, nice and lined up, making sure that everything is symmetrical. I think we did a pretty good job, and that's about it. If you're a guy that's growing out your beard, you're basically done. If you want to, you can shape it a little bit, take off some of these flyaways if you really want to. If not, just let that bad boy go and just keep trimming up those lines. Let everything keep growing, and as your beard keeps growing down and gets a little bit bushier, you're gonna keep bringing that neckline down further, because as this starts to go down, you don't want it to come up back here. So As this starts to grow down, make sure that you let your neckline keep going down as well. But those of you who are keeping more of a trim beard or a short beard, now you're gonna go with the Beard Hedger Pro, and we're gonna basically bring everything down, make it nice and crisp, decide how long you want your beard, and then we're just gonna shape it into that length. I personally like to fade my beard up a little bit more, just because I find if I have more hair on my chin and then less hair up here, it gives me even more of a pronounced jawline, which is what I'm going for. So I'm gonna show you guys how I fade my beard. Start with a 7 on the Beard Hedger Pro, and we're just gonna take off all these extra little hairs that are sitting around, but I'm gonna go over the entire face first, start long, and then work your way down. All right, first pass is done with a 7. Now we're gonna drop it to a 6, and I'm gonna go a little bit higher, and I'm gonna work my way up. That was a 6. Now we're gonna drop it to a 5, and this is gonna be our last little pass. A little bit higher and a little bit further back. So as you can see, we're gradually getting longer as we go to the chin, starting with a 7 all the way up to a 5. So now that everything's done and cleaned up, you're gonna wanna go in with a finishing product. I personally don't like oils just because they make everything look a little greasy, and that's not appealing to me. If you have a longer beard and you're trying to keep it hydrated, then definitely an oil is great for you. But for me personally, I like to go in with a balm just because it's a matte finish, and it's gonna help take down any of those extra little stragglers, or let's say you have any flyaways that you missed, it's gonna put all of those down, but it's also gonna moisturize the skin underneath as well. And I gotta say, this one from Manscaped is definitely one of my top picks. Just on smell alone, it's amazing. And there you have it. What do you guys think? Well, now you're all set. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope this helped you out a little bit. If it did, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions though, let me know in the comments as well. If you liked the video, give it a like. But if you guys want any of the Manscaped products that I use, whether it be the Beard Hedger Pro or the Handyman or any of their other products, head over to manscaped.com, use my code SS20 off, save yourself 20% off and get free shipping. But I'll also link everything below. Like I said earlier, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments. Leave me a like, subscribe if you haven't, and until I see you again, stay confident.